Welcome back to another video. In today's video, we are going to be working on starting our enemies. So it's going to be a fairly short video because I have to do something else quickly and then try and get that released on my main channel. So if you haven't subscribed to that one, please go ahead and do so. I'll put the link in the description. But today's video is going to be fairly short, probably about 10-15 minutes. And we're just going to start working on a few of our enemies. We're going to start setting them up with our animations, and then depending on how far we get with that, we'll start making them just move from left to right in a very small space on somewhere along the level, because we haven't actually sorted out one of our levels. We're only using a test level at the moment. We're not going to go into much detail in that. We will just get it working from point A to point B, and then once we've got our proper level that we're going to use to actually play from start to finish, we can go ahead and tune it down into a better kind of enemy. So I haven't really decided what we're going to do with the enemies yet, but we're going to start with one of the enemies, which I believe is, let's jump into it and see where we are. So we've got a few, actually quite a lot of enemies. So we can have a spider. What does our spider look like? So our spider looks like this. Let's just close our tile palette now because we don't really need it. So this is what our spider looks like. You can't really see it, but what do we want? We want to, let's start with our spider. So let's move somewhere to here. Actually, let's talk about this. So in yesterday's episode, we start working on trying to get our spikes to work with a tile, but I haven't actually had time to look into that, so we'll shift that down the line to another episode. But today we're going to work on our spider. Okay, so let's get into it by starting the animation. So let's bring up our animation window. So we're going to need our animation tab. We'll put this over here. Now for our spider, we can go, well, first of all, let's go and look for our spider. So now let's see, enemy. What do we want? We want the spider. Let's start with the idle one. Okay, so let's just drag one into here. So this is where our spider is going to be. Now, is that too big? Okay, we'll leave it like that for now, just because that's the default size that the game is using. So to do this, what we want to do is we want to click on the spider, and then we need to create a new animation. And this is going to be somewhere. Let's put it in where it's going to be. So this project file is currently a mess because it already has animations for different enemies and players and stuff, because I did download it from the Unity Asset Store, but I'm just going to go through it again and just show you how to do it. So ignore the mess that the project file is in. So let's go and say spider, and then in here we'll create another actually, I don't think we need another folder. Let's just create a new animation called idle, and then we'll save that, and then let's just go and drag all of these in and put those in there. And if we play it, you should see our spider animating, but that's a bit too fast, so let's drag it out a little bit, maybe something like that, a little bit more, because we don't really want it to, yeah, that should be fine. We could probably just drag it about a little bit more. Yeah, that's fine. Okay, so that is what our spider is going to do when it is not moving. So let's just put it on the ground for now. And then if we play the game, where's our play button? There it is, shortcut, Command P. So if we play our game and navigate ourselves to our spider, we should be able to see that it is playing the idle animation. So there it is. Obviously, it's not going to do anything because we haven't programmed it or added any colliders onto it, so we can't collide with it. So that's what our idle animation looks like. Now, let's go and work on the moving animation. So let's create a new clip, and this one is going to be called, where did we go? This needs to be, where do we put it? Assets, animations, spider, in here. Okay, so this one needs to be, let's just call it move for now. And then do we have idle run? Yeah, so we'll use the run animation. So we'll drag these into here, and then you should be able to see. Oh, I think the only thing that's different is the leg position. So it just flips through a bunch of sprites that have different leg positions. So that should be fine. We can go and save that. Now, what does it look like? Does it look like it's a little bit fast? Let's drag that out. So I mean, we can leave it like that, but it really depends on the speed that we choose to give our spider. So that's our spider animation. Now let's go to our animator tab, and you can see here that we have on entry, we go straight to our idle animation, and then from our idle, we want to make a transition to our move, but we're going to need a condition. So a parameter, and that is going to be a float, and this is going to be is moving. Actually, let's go and say, what do we want to call this? Speed. Let's go and say speed. So when the speed is going to be, where's our, hold on, what happened? What happened to our, there it is. Okay, so let's delete that because we don't need that. So on our base layer, I didn't even know you could have more than one layer. Okay, so here we are going to make a transition from idle to move as soon as our speed is greater than 0, or let's say greater than 0.1. And that should be fine. So let's get rid of exit time. We don't fixed duration, and then transition duration is 0. Yeah, that's fine. Now we need to go and program this in a script for our spider game object, and then in there we can go and set the, I think it's going to be random. So we're going to have the spider move from point A to point B, and then when it reaches the next point in the sequence, it's going to pause for a few seconds and then just play the idle animation, and then it will make its way back to the next point that's in next in line. I don't know if it's going to be from point A to point B and then back to point A, or we're going to have multiple points. So it goes from, like, if it starts from point A, then to point B, and then like point C, and then all the way back to point A. I don't know. We'll figure it out later. But let's go and create a new script. So this is going to be called our spider script. We'll add that onto there, and let's just rename this to spider. I have to do that again. Name it to spider, like that. Now let's go and edit that script. So I'll open it up. Okay, so here it is. So we're going to need a few things in here. So first of all, we will need, what are we going to need? We will probably, I forgot how to do this. Let's see. Probably going to need our animator. So because it's in our scene, we should be, it has an animator attached to it, so we can drag it in. So let's go and say serialize field animator so we should be able to drag that in. Now let's just do that quickly before we forget, like that. Now let's see, when we start the game, we want to set the, first of all, we're going to need a, let's go and add the things we need. So we're going to need a collider. So let's see, can we add it onto, because I can't remember what collider it is. So let's go and add it onto here. So this is going to be, I think it's going to be a polygon collider. Yeah, that's what it's going to be. So let's go and say, we're going to need a rigid body 2D. And then, well, I think that's all we need for now. So when we start the game, we can go and say, if the rigid body dot velocity is, it's greater than 0, then greater than or equal to, I believe. velocity dot, what is going to be? It's going to be on the x-axis, yeah. So if it's greater than or equal, or let's just say greater than 0, then, or greater than 0.1, because that's what we did in our condition for changing the animation. So if it's greater than or greater than 0.0, then we can go and set animator dot set float, and I think it's going to be, what is it going to be? It's going to be what's going to be? It's going to be, what do we name it? Speed. Speed, and then our value is going to be rigid body dot velocity, I believe. So let's try that, velocity dot x. So that should be fine. Now what do we do next? Let's just see. I don't think that's going to do anything, but let's go and see what it does. So it should play our correct animation, which is the idle animation. So there it is, how idle animation is playing correctly. Now we need to go and tell it to move from point A to point B. So now what we want is we want to get a local X position for point A and a local X position for point B. Well, to be fair, it's going to be a vector 2 of X and Y, I believe, which for now the Y will stay the same because it's going to be moving from left to right. The Y won't really change, it's moving now because I can't really do that in a straight line. But let's go and add a rigid body onto it first. Rigid body 2D, and then we'll drag this into there. So now let's just see if that actually falls down onto the tiles. Okay, so that's fine. So if we lift it up, you can see it falls down, and now it's sitting on our tile. So that's good. Okay, so let's try and move our spider to the right a little bit. So let's say, for example, our spider is going to start at a X position of 10. We'll start it at 10, and this is going to, I think this is going to be a local position. So now if we move it this way, it's going to go to a value of 20 is a bit too much. So let's just say about 19. So it's going to move from 10 to 19. So it's going to move like that, 10 to 19. And then what it's going to do is when it gets to this point, which is going to be point B, it's then going to flip the sprite around and then move back to 10. Okay, so let's attempt to go and do that. So for that, we are going to need we're going to need point A and point B. So let's go and say public, or let's say serialized field. Actually, let's just say public for now. We don't really need to hide it. So public, what's this going to be? This is going to be int. Actually, let's make it a float. Float, public float point A is going to be 10. And then public conspal public float point B, and that's going to be equal to, what did I say, 19 or something like that. So we'll save that. Now we are going to move our enemies. So to do that, we need to move our enemy from point A to point B. So let's go and say this script is attached to our spider, so we can simply just go and say transform.translate, and this should be vector 2 dot, we're going to do it in the right direction for now, so right, and then that's going to be times our speed, which we need to set. So let's go and say public speed is going to be equal to, we'll give our spider a speed of 5 for now. I'll make that a float. And then all we need to do is vector2.right times our speed times time dot delta time. So let's go and see if that actually moves our spider. Now, we haven't really set constraints or restrictions to our enemy, so it's not going to stop moving if it actually does move. So you can see there it is. It's moving. Now, because it hasn't got any constraints, it's just going to go on continuously forever. So we need to put in a check to say if it gets to a local X position of 19, it needs to turn around and flip and go in the opposite direction. So let's attempt to do that. So let's just say for now, because we're running out of time, let's just go and say if our transform.position.x is, what is it going to be? It needs to be less than point B, then we can go and move towards point B, if that makes sense. Hopefully that makes sense and that works. Let's test that out and see if it works. So let's play the game and see if our spider eventually stops moving. Okay, so it's stopped moving. You can see it's there. The only problem now is that, did that actually work? Did our animation play? No, so our animation is not playing. So let's go and see if, can we fix that quickly? Okay, so we are setting that. Actually, I don't think we need to do this in our, let's go and take this out because that's been set at the very start of the game, which is not correct. We need to update that. So let's go and put that over here and see if that makes any difference. Okay, so clearly that didn't make any difference, but we will carry on with that in tomorrow's episode. So yeah, sorry, this is going to be a bit of a short video, but I have to do something else quickly. But yeah, that's it for today. So thanks for watching. If you made it this far, please go ahead and subscribe to the channel using this button over here, and I'll see you guys in tomorrow's episode. Enjoy your day, and thanks.